Hi there, welcome to Meet Me for Coffee, and today my guest is Ofer Niv. So at this point, I'm going to share the screen with Ofer, and we are going to kind of chat back and forth over coffee. So Ofer, how is it in sunny California today?
It's a beautiful day, and I'm very glad to be here drinking coffee with you. I actually seriously look.
That's
Yeah, it's a
awesome. I
beautiful.
absolutely love that as I have my coffee as well. Hmm. So, Ofer, why don't you tell my guests what is it that you do, or how would you describe what you
What I do, I call shamanic energy healing, and it addresses really any issue that a person wants to bring up. Could be something physical or emotional or related to trauma, spiritual issues. It's really anything. I think the root of everything is always spiritual, and that's how I look at things, how I approach them. But yeah, that's, I guess, the short answer is that I do energy healing with shamanic uh, attributes to it. It's not traditional shamanic work. I don't, for example, do ceremonies or use drums. But this is the internal way that I associate as shamanic.
So, in a roundabout way, how could you, or how would you describe this type of shamanic healing? Because myself, doing rituals in the shaman realm, for me, it's more of the elemental kind of imagination. Uh, so, how would you describe how this, in case theory, works for you? Like, what avenue do you take or choose to roll with?
It's really a multiple things that I do. I would say that if I had to describe it, it's really I see what presents at the moment when I work with someone, and I can choose from pretty wide array of things that I like to do based on what I sense. So mostly. I will start from some sort of an emotional or physical issue. Um, but even if it's physical, I like to go to the emotions that are associated with it, with whatever the condition is. I'd like to go to the emotions. If there's a spiritual issue, I'd like to go to the emotions. If there is a trauma, so I always start there because it. Sort of lights up for me something about that person, about where maybe it sits in the body or where it sits in the auric body. It might trigger something to see in past lives or some imbalance that would be a starting point. So that would be a starting point for me to take a look, and then I take a look at what comes to me, and it could be visual. Many times it's something that I would feel or something that I would know, but I'm looking for something deeper that is associated with whatever we started with, so that I know where to go. Because where I'm gonna go is to what started it all. So the root is where I want to go. So I don't want to just deal with the symptom, and that's why if I work with somebody with physical symptoms, it's not just going to be about the symptom. Although I will certainly do work to help the symptoms. So if we're gonna do work to ease pain, discomfort, definitely work on that at the physical level, but always go deeper. Otherwise, things don't completely heal. They might come back in this form or in another form, and so it's always good to do this. Then another aspect of the work is that I like to help people know the tools that can help them by so if you're my client, I walk you through some of the things that I'm doing. I will describe many of the things I'm doing, but I also sort of take you by the hand and show you and let you experience what I'm doing. And sometimes I will, if it's appropriate, if it's right, I will ask you to do something to assist, because I truly believe that a lot of the healing is not does not happen when a client sits back and say, just heal me, but it's the work when something in the client is changes, and whether they know or not, that's actually not important. Whether they know or not that they're doing the work, they are ending up doing the work, and I don't know when that happens. When that happens, things really start to shift much faster. So a lot of it is not pre-known thing or routine that I'm going to do, but I know where it starts. It starts with an emotion, and then I see what needs to be done. In the shamanic words, there are sometimes there are chords to work with, or their belief systems need to transform. There are patterns, the energetic patterns. There are traumas that are housed somewhere in the energetic field or inside the physical body. So all these things I look at. I work with the chakra system. I like to work a lot with the chakra system because it works. Because it's really it really allows to obtain a lot of information, and also a systematic way to make change that lasts. So I like to work with the chakra system. It's not the only thing I work with, but I hope that gives you some information.
With all of that, what was the driving force that led you into this pathway? Like, how did you emanate or come to this space?
So for me, it happened relatively later in life, not when I was like young. At some point, I was I started to have all kinds of physical sensations that led me to see a doctor, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, MS, and because I was told that there was no it's a chronic disease, there's nothing to do except for managing it. Initially, I remember I kind of freaked out, and but eventually I started to look for what else I can do, because I just don't like to manage stuff. I like when even before, and at that time I knew nothing much about alternative healing modalities, or the whole, what I would call, esoteric knowledge. Had not much idea about that. I've been working in a corporate environment for many years. In fact, I still do. So it got me on a journey. It got me on a path of really finding out what else can be done. And I've gone through multiple teachers. I've learned a lot in a relatively short amount of time. And I found it exciting, promising, and as far as self-healing, it really helped me. I mean, I consider myself today not having this condition, and it's also supported by periodic MRIs. So it's not like I just said goodbye to traditional medicine. I use it sometimes because it's good for many things, but not for everything. And so because it worked for me. I remember at some point I had this work with one of the teachers that came to one of our programs, and she said that she saw something energetic in front of me that was blocking me from from being who I am. And I sort of got interested, and there was a work on me in the middle of the class with 10 people around the table doing work on me. And I remember that I had all kinds of sensations of high level of excitement and tingling all over my body for weeks after that. And I said, I need to know more about it. I need to study it. And so I started studying it more seriously. And I decided that, because I felt so much better and so much transformed, I wanted to help others. So that was sort of a point of transformation where it was okay, enough about just me. Although maybe continued to be important, of course, but it's time to also see what I can do to help others, and it felt like fun. So since then, I mean, for the last probably 5 years, I've been doing healing work with others, and find I don't do it full time, but I find great joy whenever I do it, and that's how I came to get involved with it.
Okay, so what diverted you was actually this call, this MS kind of was your wake-up call that there is something outside of the physical world and healing that created a new pathway for you, it sounds like. So with that, can you kind of describe how the flow goes with a session with you? Like, is there, like, do you say, how do you connect with the person to climb into what I would say climbing into their skin? Because that's kind of how I work and how I function.
Yeah, sure. So most of the sessions that I do, in fact, probably 99.9% are done remotely. So it could be something like video based, like Zoom or Skype or over the phone. Usually offer the option to record the sessions, because I believe that when people replay at least certain sessions, it really helps to reinforce whatever we're doing on a deeper level every time you replay it. But we start with, I offer a 20-minute free consultation that usually help people decide whether they want to do the work with me. I'll usually give them, at least a taste of how it goes during that free consultation. But when we get together on the phone or Zoom, then I'll ask them to feel into whatever the issue is. So if they have if it's a cancer, or if it's a back issue, or if it's needing to improve, in school, whatever it is, I will get into the emotion. And the emotions, they have levels. So whatever you feel, whatever you say to yourself that you feel about something, is usually at the head level initially. And then once you let yourself feel that, another emotion will come up underneath it. And we really want to go after that kind of emotion. Sometimes you have to do it several times. So let's say that you feel frustrated about something because you try different ways and it doesn't work. And then underneath that, maybe there'll be sadness. And so we're really gonna go maybe several layers of emotions to the emotion that come from the subconsciousness. So it won't be the first one that come to you, but eventually we'll get there. And then when this emotion comes up, I know, okay, this is what we're going to work with. And then usually at some point, I'm gonna start, like I said, taking the person by the hand and do work with them. But before I do that, many times I'm gonna do some what I call clearing. So it's clearing energies that seem to be darker, or denser, or blocking the person from even be ready to participate in the healing process. And so I'll do initial clearing. So I'll scan the body with knowing or seeing whatever I see, and I will remove from any part of the body things that I feel like are in the way. Then when I feel we're ready to do something together, then we go through some exercises where essentially we're working with a person's awareness and their higher self. And a lot of this work is based on the heart, on working within the physical heart. So we're bringing the awareness. It's not directly, there is some process to it, but we're ending up bringing the awareness into the physical heart, and that's a great place to be, because that's where you are really connecting to the part of you that never dies, that never needs fixing, that is never sick, and that's the part that I want to remind you of, because you're always working with that part of you, which is really the essence of you, but you're not always aware. And so we're going there. We're doing all this acquaintance of you with you. And once we're there, then we start doing the work. So I might journey with you somewhere, to a past life, or to a past life of a family tree, or we're going to start looking at patterns in your body, or areas of density, or beliefs, or contracts that are mostly in your subconscious that you're not even aware of. But once we identify them, then we do want to experience, at least to some degree, emotions that are associated with them, because a lot of these emotions might be bottled or hidden or pushed somewhere, and we don't want them pushed in. We want them coming out and up and leave. And so a lot of these energy, the work is to get it out of the body through multiple means. It might be sending it up to the light. It might be spinning it out of the body through a chakra spin in a reverse direction. There are multiple techniques to do that. Basically, purifying what needs to be purified and sending it out. So that's a good portion of the session, to identify any cords that needs to be disconnected, energetic cords, or working on past lives, or just identifying false beliefs that really need to go, because they're blocking you, because they're weighing you down, because they don't let you be yourself. And once we've done some work with this, and there is an hour in the session, so we're not gonna solve world hunger in one session. But once we're done, then there's going to be some retrieval process where we're retrieving parts of your soul fragments that it's time for them to return, that for whatever reason you didn't want to or couldn't keep them with you. And so we're doing this kind of integration. We're doing some protection boundaries if needed at the end, and that's pretty much a session.
So it sounds like the topics that you could cover with somebody it's vast, it's very large, right? It sounds like a lot of it might be more ancestral or past life kind of issues that you're clearing up, because ultimately that's where it all begins anyway, correct?
Right. A lot of the issues, you can go back to separation. So separation has all kinds of aspects, but a lot of the issues go back to past lives, and sometimes all the way to separation from source. So we go, if we work on past lives, we go, so there might be pattern throughout multiple lifetimes where you sort of experience the problem from different aspects, being a victim, being a perpetrator, being a witness, or just knowing about it somehow, and that creates a portion of the experience. But you experience different angles of this topic. For example, slavery or sacrifice or being a victim for many lifetimes, and many times the reason it comes up for you now is because now it's time to do some work on it, and perhaps to let it go, perhaps to really finish the work with this pattern. Before you came into this body, you agreed that this is something you want to work on, and perhaps you also agreed that this is time to be done with this pattern, and that's why it's coming up. And that's what we're looking at. Sometimes there is something to accomplish first before you're like done. But many times it is really time. It's coming up. It triggers you because you are really ready to go to the next step. You want to go to a higher place, and you can't because it's blocking you. So it's time to announce it as complete, and then completely remove that pattern, that energy from your body, so it doesn't come back. So that's the work that we do. But as far as life streams, lifetimes, there's your own lifetimes, there is the ancestral lifetimes, and we work both depending on what we see. Sometimes I'll bring ancestors into the room, like their higher selves, to help with removal of energies that they put in the client's body. Because as a client, each one of us, when we grow up or when we interact with others, they put their energies, which sometimes is even soul fragments, into our body, and we do the same with them. So, for example, if we're desperately seeking love, which we can't get, we might get so desperate that we're inserting part of us into somebody else, into somebody else's body, into somebody else's belly, to try and get attention, or to try and see what they're up to. Because we're so desperate. It's really not needed, but that's what we know when we're very young, that is one way to do it. But what ends up is we leave parts of us in them, and they leave parts of us in us when, for example, they judge us or reject us or push us away. And sometimes you feel this physical push when somebody is like putting their energy into you. You like want to actually step back because you can physically feel it in your body. And so these are things, exchanges, that I bring people's higher self into the room to help with that exchange. So especially with family members, like mom, dad, siblings, so that we can resolve that and let this energy go back to where it came from, or it's not needed anymore at all, and we transform it and send it up to the light. So we do that work too.
Okay, so I want to know, what is it you absolutely love about doing this kind of work? Like, what does it bring to light for you as well?
Of course, I love it when a client tells me that the work created a significant change for them. I love that. I love when that happens, and I get feedback like that from many of my clients. But in addition to that, I might do the work after a work day where I did my my corporate job or whatever I was doing, and had a long day and I'm kind of tired. And I'll go into one of these sessions, and I usually feel highly energized at the end of the session because the work that I call healing work does not only transform the person you're working on, it also transforms you in some way. In fact, I think that this is the only way it does work, that if it's true healing, it heals both of you. And so that's the part that I like, is that this healing is not only for me, it's not only for my client, it's for both of us, and it transforms both of us in a way that is helpful. Not necessarily identical, for each one of us, it's helpful for our own journey. But that's the nature of it, that it doesn't happen alone. That it's like, it's not like I do the healing. It's not like I do the work. We're both doing something. I'm really guiding you to do the work as a client, and then something happens. So that's really what I like about it, that it transforms both of us always, and I feel this energy at the end of a session.
So let's chat about Sol La Vie. Sol La Vie. How did you even come up with that name for your website? Right? It's the name of your website.
It's the name of the website, Soul, SOUL dash La Vie, and it is interesting. So it's named after, sort of sounds similar to C'est La Vie, which is French, I think, for that's life, or such is life. And so that's life, yeah, because we're doing a lot of work that is directly related to, this is your life, and now we're going to see what you want to work on, any aspect of your life. So I like that. Also, La Vie is, so I'm originally from Israel. I've been in the US for over 30 years, but Hebrew is my mother tongue, and La Vie is lion. So I like that aspect too, because I like the energy of lion, and I work with lion as a spirit, animal as a helper quite a bit, and so I like that aspect of it as well.
Okay, so I'm going to have in the end notes how to connect with Ofer on Sol La Vie. Is there anything else that you'd actually like to share on Meet Me for Coffee today?
Yeah, I'll just share something spiritual that occurs to me more and more recently, is that when I work with people, I always like to work with you at where you are. So it's not like I know better than you about anything, really, because where you are feels very real to you. So the only distinction that I make is that some things feel very real, but they are not true. So there is a difference between what's real. I mean, whatever we feel strongly about, eventually we also create in our life. So in that sense, it's real. I would say that something is true when it is aligned with our higher self, with our spirit, with divine source, and that's what I'm going to try to show you, the client. What is your divine truth, so that reality can match that? Because when these are aligned, when what's real and what's true are aligned, that's when you thrive. That's when you're at peace. That's when you have joy. This is where I like to be for myself and for my clients.
Okay. So, do you feel like we've covered everything what you'd like to share on the show today, Ofer? You've done a fabulous job. I'm super stoked that you're here with me today. Meet Me for Coffee.
I think There's always something to cover, and I'm very likely to remember it when we hang up. So there you go.
There you go. Okay. Well, thanks for showing me today on Meet Me for Coffee. Like I said, I will have the link to Ofer's site, Soul La Vie, which actually I love. I see this lion as courage and soul. It's like having courage for your soul and bringing that aspect to you to life. Super excited. And as always, thanks for showing up for Meet Me for Coffee.
And Tanya, thank you so much for inviting me. And I love talking and working with you. We've done that in the past. Really appreciate it.
You are so welcome. It's been a delight. You did an amazing job. And I'm sure we'll meet for coffee again.
All right. Sounds great.